Most people think that if you don't have discipline, it means you're weak or have some kind of bad trait, like it's just part of who you are or not. But that's totally wrong. What not many people realize is that discipline, the way we usually talk about it, actually goes against how our brains are made to work. And this isn't just some fancy way of saying it. It's a real fact from how brains function in science. Our brains didn't develop over super long periods to focus on big goals far away, or on made-up targets, or on being super strong in controlling ourselves. They developed for one main thing: staying alive right in the moment. Through millions of years, humans got better at saving their energy, looking for rewards that come quick, and staying away from any work that wasn't really needed. In simple terms, your brain doesn't want you to get up and go to the gym. It wants you to stay sitting on the couch, because that way you're not using up energy you might need later. It doesn't push you to sit down and write something or study hard. It pulls you toward opening an app like TikTok, because there you get that fast rush of feeling good. And this isn't a mistake in how you're built. It's just the way biology set things up for us. The trouble comes because the world we live in now wants the exact opposite from us. To do well and get ahead, we're supposed to be disciplined, get a lot done, and keep at it day after day. But this sets up a huge clash inside. On one hand, you have a brain that's shaped like someone from way back who hunts and gathers and likes to take it easy to survive. On the other hand, you have a modern life that expects you to act like a super-focused and tough computer that never stops. When a person tries to make discipline happen just by using sheer willpower, what they're really doing is trying to beat millions of years of how evolution wired us, and they're using only a few encouraging words to do it. And you can guess what happens? It doesn't stick around for long. James Clear, the guy who wrote that huge hit book called Atomic Habits, shared one of the most important ideas about how people behave in today's world. Real discipline doesn't show up because you're forcing it. It shows up because you've set things up in a smart way. The folks who are the most steady, the ones who look like they have tons of discipline, aren't actually stronger inside or more excited than everyone else. They've just put together systems and surroundings that make the good behaviors super easy. Something that happens without thinking, and pretty much impossible to avoid. They don't go to war with their brain. Instead, they find ways to trick their brain into liking discipline. Over the next few minutes, we're going to pull apart this whole idea that discipline is some magic thing. Point out the errors you might be making without even knowing it, and work on building a new approach to thinking and doing things. It's a way that's smarter, more in tune with how humans really are, and way more effective at getting results. If you've ever felt like you're not strong because you keep putting things off, or if you've ever been really down on yourself for not being able to follow through on your own plans, this isn't here to make you feel bad. It's here to show you that you were probably just trying it in a way that didn't work. And now, you'll finally get how to trick your brain into liking discipline the right way. The idea of discipline seems pretty straightforward when you think about it in theory. You just have to want something enough, stay locked in on it, and push back against anything that tempts you away. But when we take a closer look at how the human brain actually operates day to day, we see that this way of looking at it isn't just too simple. It's way off base and doesn't understand the real picture. This happens because your brain isn't paying attention to your goals that are way off in the future. It's all about surviving, staying comfortable, and using energy in the smartest way possible. And if you don't get this part, you'll always be fighting against it, which makes everything harder. For almost all of human history, the people who came before us lived in places that were dangerous and hard, where there wasn't much to go around, and the only thing that mattered was making it through to the next day without dying. In that kind of world, the brain changed over time to always go for rewards that were right there in front of you. Eating food right now was way more important than trying to save it for some time later that might not even come. Sleeping a bit extra was safer than putting yourself out there where something bad could happen. Staying away from extra effort meant you had more energy saved up for when you really needed it, like in a crisis. The brain got adjusted, generation after generation, to always pick the path that's the quickest, the most enjoyable, and the one that costs the least amount of work. And here's the thing. You still have that same basic programming running inside you today. When you try to get yourself up early to go exercise, your brain sees that as something that's messing with your comfort and your need to save energy. When you open up your laptop to study something or work on a project you've been thinking about, it right away suggests that maybe you should just check social media for a second, because over there, the good feelings come super fast. You can count on them, and they're always there, waiting. Going to the gym, picking up a book that's full of tough info, or sitting down to write an article, all of that asks for effort, and the reward isn't right there immediately. Your brain really doesn't like things set up that way. And this is the most crucial detail to remember. Your brain isn't trying to be all reasonable and think things through. It's trying to be efficient, to get the most done with the least input. It doesn't pick what's going to be the best choice in the long run. It picks whatever needs the smallest amount of energy right this second. This is what experts in brain science call cognitive ease. It's the brain's natural pull to always go for the option that has the least resistance. And this isn't a choice you make after thinking about it. It happens automatically, even before you have a chance to decide anything. So the real problem here isn't that you don't have enough willpower. It's that there's a conflict in how things are designed. Your brain is all about surviving and feeling good in the now, but you want to grow and improve over time. And until you find a way to make those two things line up, you'll keep feeling frustrated, exhausted, and like you're not getting anywhere. James Clear captures this perfectly in a simple way. He says motivation gets way too much attention. What really counts is the environment you're in. In other words, if you're always having to count on willpower to get things done, it means you're going up against the basic way your brain is structured. And that's a fight you're going to lose every time, because as time goes on, getting tired always wins out. When you're feeling worn down, your brain switches back to its default mode, and that default is always the easiest option available. If you truly want to make a change, the first step isn't to try even harder than before. The first step is to really understand what you're up against. And now that you've seen how your brain is wired to get in the way of any attempt to force discipline on it, there's a question that has to come up. What if the issue isn't with you as a person, but with the environment you spend your time in? In the next section, we'll dive into why your environment is actually the main thing that builds your behaviors and how you can change it around to make it work for you, to help trick your brain into liking discipline. If this is starting to make sense and click for you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join the channel. Thanks so much for your support. It means a lot. Now that you've got a grasp on how your brain is designed to always look for the easiest path forward, we need to turn our attention to the real place where these choices get made, the environment that's all around you every day. Most people are convinced that self-control is some kind of inner power, like a moral muscle that you can just train and make stronger over time. But the truth, as James Clear laid out, is a lot harder to accept because it's not what we want to hear. Self-control is actually pretty weak, and it falls apart when faced with an environment that's not set up well. Think about it like this. You make up your mind to start exercising regularly. You're feeling motivated, you're determined, you're ready to turn your life around for the better. But then, when you wake up in the morning, your workout clothes are all wrinkled and stuffed at the bottom of a drawer somewhere. Your sneakers are sitting out in the trunk of your car from last time. It's cold outside, and you can feel the chill. Meanwhile, the couch is just a few steps away from your bed, looking comfy. Your phone is right there in your hand, and Instagram is already open from last night. At that point, the choice isn't really between doing something good or bad anymore. It's between what's right there, easy to reach, and what requires digging around and extra effort. And as we've already seen, the brain always goes for what takes the least amount of work. That's the core problem right there. You're attempting to change how you behave, but you're keeping an environment that encourages the exact opposite behavior. And this is where the concept comes in that has completely changed how thousands of people think about discipline and how to trick their brain into liking it. It's called choice architecture. This term, which Clear uses, explains that human behavior is mostly shaped by what's closest to you, what's the easiest to access, and what's the most obvious in your sight. It's not about having more strength or willpower, it's about engineering your behaviors in a clever way. Want a clear example to see how this works? In a study that Clear mentions, they did something simple in a cafeteria. They moved the water bottles to the front instead of leaving them in the back. That one change made people drink more water and less soda, and they didn't need any big campaign to motivate people or any rules banning soda. What was different? The environment got tweaked. The healthy choice became the simpler one to make. And when a good decision turns into the easiest option, your brain doesn't fight it. It just goes along with it naturally. Now, picture applying this same idea to your own daily life. If you want to read more books, don't leave them tucked away in a drawer or on a shelf. Put the book right on your bed where you'll see it. If you want to stop getting pulled away by your phone all the time, turn off the notifications that buzz and ding. Hide the device in another room if you have to. Use apps that block certain sites during times you need to focus. If you want to wake up and get some exercise in, lay out your clothes right next to the bed the night before, like you're setting up a little trap. But this time, it's a trap for your own tendency to slack off. Because deep down, this is what you really need to get. Discipline doesn't come from putting in a ton of effort every single time. It comes from preparing ahead. The people who seem the most disciplined aren't actually stronger than you. They're just smarter about how they arrange their space, their daily rituals, and the things that trigger their actions. They understand that when the environment is set up correctly, the good behavior becomes almost impossible to avoid. They don't depend on feeling motivated, which can come and go. They create a system where doing the right thing takes less energy than doing the wrong thing. And that's the key to it all. You need to stop depending on self-control and start designing your environment as if you're an engineer working on your own mind. A behavior that requires a lot of conscious effort today can become something you do without thinking tomorrow, if it's anchored well in your environment. But what if you could take it even further? What if, instead of just removing obstacles from your environment, you could hack the habits that your brain already does on autopilot? That's exactly what you'll learn in the next part. How to use the idea of habit stacking to take over existing behavior loops and turn them into helpers for discipline to trick your brain into liking it. So far, you've learned two tough truths. Your brain is programmed by biology to avoid effort whenever it can, and your environment shapes your behavior way more than your willpower ever could. But even with these two big ideas in your head, there's a question that has to come up. How can you, in real life, turn the habits you want into behaviors that happen automatically? How do you get from just intending to do something to actually doing it, without relying on motivation, which is unreliable and doesn't last? The answer is found in one of the most powerful strategies that James Clear talks about in his book. It's called habit stacking. The human brain works based on habit loops, which have three parts: a cue that starts it, the routine itself, and then a reward at the end. And these loops are already running in your life, even if you're not aware of them. You brush your teeth as soon as you wake up. You check your phone the moment you sit down on the couch. You make coffee right when you walk into the kitchen. These actions don't take any effort because they're already built into the automatic way you behave. What habit stacking suggests is something simple, but really clever. Instead of trying to create a completely new habit from nothing, you attach it to a habit that's already there. This way, you use a cue that's already deep in your brain to add a new action you want, and it meets much less resistance. For example, after you brush your teeth, that's the automatic habit, you meditate for just 2 minutes. After you prepare your breakfast, you write 1 page in your journal. After you lock the front door when you get home, you say a quick affirmation to focus for the day. This kind of sequence creates a neural connection in your brain. The brain begins to associate the new behavior with the old one automatically. You're essentially hijacking the automatic routine to help trick your brain into liking discipline. And why does this method work so well? Because it gets rid of the biggest hurdle, the starting part. Beginning an action takes more mental energy than keeping it going once you're in it. Once you're moving, the momentum helps you continue. Habit stacking builds that momentum, and momentum more than willpower is what keeps behaviors consistent as time goes on. But you have to be careful with this. This method needs a planned approach. You can't stack any habit in any place. The new action has to be short. Start with something that takes less than 2 minutes so it's not overwhelming. It has to be clear and specific, not vague, like read 1 page instead of read more. And it should happen immediately, right after the previous habit, with no pause in between. If you follow this logic, you'll be creating mental paths that make discipline something that's inevitable. You won't have to decide if you want to do it or not. Your body will just do it on its own. And that's the real victory. When the right action happens before doubt can creep in, before laziness takes hold, before you start rationalizing why you should skip it. And you know what's even more cool about it? These small stacks, which seem almost too tiny to matter at first, add up over time in a big way. They grow exponentially. They turn into solid routines that you can count on. And when you look back after a while, you realize you've built an entire lifestyle based on these connected micro-habits. But if all of this is so powerful, why do so many people still procrastinate, even when they know exactly what they should be doing? The answer lies in a fundamental idea. Procrastination isn't about being lazy. It's about having a setup that's not designed well. In the next part, we'll take apart this common belief and understand why your habits fail. It's not because of a lack of effort, but because they don't follow the 4 invisible laws of behavior change, which are key to tricking your brain into liking discipline. The word procrastination carries a lot of heavy meaning. For most people, it's linked to failure, to being weak, and to not having enough drive or ambition. It's common to hear someone say things like, "I am so lazy," or "I just can't get myself organized no matter what I try." But this way of thinking is completely off track. And even worse, it's harmful to yourself because it makes you feel worse. According to James Clear, procrastination isn't a flaw in your personality, and it's not about being lazy at all. It's a symptom. It's a clear signal that your environment, your habits, and the systems you've set up are designed poorly. When you procrastinate, it's not because you don't want to take action deep down. It's because taking action in the way your life is arranged right now requires too much effort, doesn't appeal to you, and doesn't give you any reward that's immediate and clear. Your brain, as we've talked about, works on the basis of quick rewards, and that's why it avoids tasks that seem difficult, boring, take a lot of time, or don't provide some kind of obvious satisfaction right away. Take studying as an example. It's a task that needs your full attention, a bunch of energy, and the payoff is something abstract, like knowledge that you'll only use later on. On the other hand, opening up YouTube or Instagram gives you an immediate reward with 0 effort and all kinds of interesting things to see. For the brain, the choice is obvious and easy. It's not about being good or bad morally, it's just how the brain is wired from neuroscience. This is where the 4 laws of behavior change come into play. Clear describes them as the main supports for making any habit easy to keep going. They are, make it obvious. If the habit you want is hidden away or not in sight, it's going to be forgotten quickly. The brain needs constant reminders of the action to take. Whatever is visible is what gets done. Make it attractive. The habit has to create a sense of looking forward to pleasure or good feelings. You can do this by linking it to something you already like, or by making the process itself lighter and more enjoyable. Make it easy. The more obstacles or friction there is, the less likely you'll do it. The habit needs to be broken down to the simplest possible form, until it's something you can't say no to. Make it satisfying. The behavior has to give you a feeling of completion or some kind of reward. Without that, the brain won't form a strong connection to the habit. Let's put this into practice to see how it works. Imagine someone who wants to build the habit of studying every night after dinner, but their current setup is like this. The study materials are stuffed at the bottom of a backpack in the closet. The desk is covered with random stuff like papers and snacks, and the TV is on in the background. Plus, they plan to study for a whole hour straight with no breaks, and there's no way to track progress or give themselves a small treat afterward. The result? They end up picking up their phone and scrolling through TikTok instead. Then they feel guilty about it. Then they try again the next day and fail in the same way. Now, let's see how the same habit transforms when you apply the 4 laws. The study materials are already laid out and open on the table, ready to go. That's making it obvious. They start with a favorite drink or some relaxing music playing in the background, making it attractive. They'll only study for just 5 minutes at first, with really simple goals that aren't intimidating, making it easy. When they finish, they mark their progress on a board or in an app, and they give themselves a small reward, like watching one episode of a show they like, making it satisfying. Do you see how different that is? It's not that the person suddenly became better or more motivated. They just learned how to design the behavior in a way that works. They learned that discipline is like an illusion when the system is put together badly, and it's a natural result when the system is designed well. In this view, procrastination stops being some mysterious problem and becomes a warning sign that something needs fixing. Every time you avoid doing something, ask yourself, is this action obvious and in my face? Is it at least a little attractive or fun? Is it easy to start without a ton of hassle? Is it giving me any kind of reward or good feeling? If the answer is no to one or more of those, then you have a design issue, not a discipline issue. And the most amazing thing is that when you start using these laws consistently in your life, procrastination starts to disappear almost without you having to try hard. You don't need to force yourself to take action. The action just happens on its own. The behavior flows naturally. But maybe you're sitting there thinking, okay, this all makes sense to me, but I still don't like these tasks at all. I still hate having to wake up early. I still can't stand the idea of writing or studying or training my body. How do I deal with that? So, here's the question that can totally change how you see things. What if you didn't need to like discipline to become a disciplined person? In the next part, we'll break down the myth that you have to love the process to get the results you want. You'll discover why the most consistent people out there aren't passionate about their routines every day. They simply made the action something that's inevitable, a way to trick their brain into liking discipline without forcing it. There's a really popular idea in the world of productivity and getting things done, and it's actually pretty dangerous because it sets people up for disappointment. The idea is that you need to enjoy the process if you want to become someone who's disciplined. How many times have you heard sayings like, fall in love with the routine, love the journey, not just the end, or do what you love and you'll never feel like you're working? It sounds pretty and inspiring on the surface, but it's not true. And worse, it's discouraging for people who are trying to pull themselves out of a rut or make a change. The truth is tough, but it's also freeing in a big way. You don't have to like discipline, you just have to make it inevitable, something that happens no matter what. The people who are highly productive don't wake up every single day feeling excited to do what needs to be done. They don't get a thrill from every task on their list. They don't have unlimited energy to keep up with healthy habits. What they do have is a structure that's built to make sure the right actions take place, even when they don't feel like it at all, and that changes the game completely. Imagine you want to start the habit of running in the morning. You might have solid reasons for it: better health, looking better, more energy throughout the day, building discipline. But on 9 out of 10 days, you'll wake up without any desire to do it. Your body will want to stay in bed a little longer. Your mind will come up with excuses like it's too early or you're too tired. It might be cold outside or hot or raining. You'll think that today isn't the best day to start, and maybe tomorrow will be better. And just like that, the habit fizzles out again. Now imagine a different setup. The night before, you leave your running shoes and your workout clothes right next to your bed where you can't miss them. You set your phone alarm across the room, so you have to get out of bed to turn it off. You have an energetic playlist ready to start playing as soon as you hit the alarm button. You have a friend or workout partner who's waiting for you on the corner at 6:30 a.m. sharp. You've already mapped out the running route, and you've prepared a light breakfast to have right afterward. In this second scenario, the act of running hasn't suddenly become more enjoyable or fun. It's still demanding on your body and mind. But you've reduced the friction so much and added so much structure around it that running has become the path of least resistance. The decision to do it was made long before the desire, or lack of it, showed up. And that's exactly what disciplined people do. They don't rely on desire or feeling good about it. They create systems that work even on the bad days when everything feels hard. And here's a crucial point to get. Your goal should not be to fall in love with discipline or to make yourself enjoy every part of it. Your goal should be to make the important behaviors so automatic, so woven into your daily routine, that doing them requires less effort than skipping them or avoiding them. That's the big difference between living in the world of motivation and living in the world of systems. In the world of motivation, everything hangs on how you feel that day, your energy level, your temporary enthusiasm that can vanish. In the world of systems, the action is automatic. It's the default setting. It's the only logical choice because everything is set up that way. James Clear sums this up with sharp clarity. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. This means your future isn't going to be shaped by your big intentions or dreams. It's going to be shaped by your daily habits. And the more those habits are automated and built in, the less you'll have to depend on motivation, that shaky thing that so many people spend time chasing after. That's why saying things like, "I don't like routines," or "I hate waking up early," doesn't hold up as an excuse anymore. Nobody needs to love these things to make them work. You just need to integrate them so well into your life that they stop being a choice you have to make and become part of who you are. And speaking of who you are, there's a final level that's deeper and more transformative, connecting all these ideas into one powerful truth. Discipline isn't the end goal. It's a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. In the next and last part, we'll explore how true change happens, not when you force yourself to act different, but when you start seeing yourself as someone different, and how that changes everything about how you live, act, and create habits that last all, to trick your brain into liking discipline. After everything we've gone through, it becomes obvious that what we call discipline isn't some natural gift or a mysterious skill that's only for a few special people. Discipline is actually a byproduct, something that naturally happens when you have a well-designed system, an environment that's set up on purpose, and a strong sense of identity. When all those pieces are in place and working together, acting in a disciplined way stops being a constant struggle and becomes your new normal way of being. But there's an even deeper point, something more basic that you need to understand. No change in your habits, routines, or behaviors will stick around for good if there's no change in how you see yourself. And that's the real heart of any transformation. James Clear makes the case that the deepest level of changing your behavior isn't about what you want to achieve or the goals you set. It's about who you decide to be as a person. Your identity shapes the habits you have, and those habits in turn strengthen your identity. It's a cycle that feeds itself. If you want to be a disciplined person, you need to start acting like someone who truly believes they are disciplined. Those small decisions you make every day, the ones that seem so minor and not worth much, are like votes that affirm the direction of your new identity. Every time you go train your body, even when you really don't feel like it, every time you choose to read a bit instead of scrolling through your feed endlessly, every time you follow through on something, for even just 2 minutes, you're telling yourself, I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done no matter what. And this is way more powerful than any motivational video you could watch, any technique you could learn, or any detailed plan you could make, because you're not just trying to act in a different way, you're becoming someone different. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows naturally, like it's the only thing that makes sense. Therefore, real discipline isn't the ultimate goal you chase. It's just the reflection of a mind that's learned to play the game the right way. It's the sign of someone who's stopped fighting against their own brain and started designing a path where the correct behavior has the least resistance. It's someone who gets that they do not need to win by using force. They can win by using structure and smart setup. So if you've stuck with this all the way to here, you now have a genuine choice in front of you. You can keep blaming yourself for not being strong enough or tough enough, or you can start right today to build the environment, the habits, and the identity that make discipline something that's inevitable. Stop waiting around for motivation to show up. Stop punishing yourself because you don't have unlimited willpower. You don't have to be perfect at all. You just need to be consistent enough to let the system take over and do the heavy lifting for you. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the first habit you're going to redesign starting today? Drop it in the comments below, because even the simple act of writing it out is already a vote toward your new identity. And if this video has made you rethink how you see discipline and how to trick your brain into liking it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.